Got me? You got me? All right. Good. So I got this new Mandy poster. I got it signed by Nick. Oh! Oh! What did you do? Kick the chair out from under me? What are you just filming me for? Call somebody. What? Welcome to Room 666. Today we're going to be reviewing Mandy, the latest film from Panos, Cosmatos. Fuck. I said that right?
Cosmatos, yeah.
The film stars Nicolas Cage, Andrea Riseborough, and Linus Roach. Oh, let's get into this fucking crazy thing. Come with me. Panos, Cosmatos. You're crazy for this one. He is probably one of the best, I would say, horror, sci-fi, just genre filmmakers working today. This film pretty much proves that. So, I mean, you basically have this sort of simple story. Nick Cage and Andrea Riseborough, who plays Mandy, are just living this kind of simple life. He's a lumberjack just out chopping wood, and they live kind of in this, up in the mountains in the woods. They live in this kind of beautiful home. She's like, you know, she's just always reading books. They're always just laying together. And that's the beginning of the film. And it really kind of starts off as this kind of slow burn of just this kind of just really kind of beautiful sci-fi love story. Everything is just, from the very start, you're just watching an acid kind of fever dream. And at first, it's a good acid trip. You're on it, you're feeling the love, you're kind of feeling that, you know, this kind of sort of very just slow, kind of drony, just very even romantic kind of vibe at the beginning of this film. And then you have Linus Roach's character come into the fucking, all he does is drive by and see Mandy, and he ends up wanting to take her. Now, he's some fucking crazy religious freak guy, right? He thinks he is a god, and he has a bunch of followers, which is sort of like this little cult that follows him. Boom! It ramps up. And that's when shit starts to go down, and that's when this becomes kind of like this fucking Mad Max, Evil Dead, fucking John Carpenter, just insane genre revenge thriller. And the way Panos does stuff here, where he films the fight scenes, where he does kind of like these strange drug trips that the characters go on. There's a lot of animation that's in it when Nick Cage is dreaming. There's so many just kind of bold choices that not a lot of directors would have the balls to make, and not a lot of studios would have the balls to let them make that. And this film is, you know, I think a director just basically putting it all up there without worrying about what anybody's going to think about it, what anybody's going to say about it, and just kind of doing it. And he really goes for it here. It is a beautiful film in that it's a great love story, but it's also just an ugly, violent, and just dirty movie, but in the best possible way. It really felt like watching it up on the big screen that we were watching some film that they found, you know, from back in like the 70s. Some film reel they found, and they're just, we found this movie that no one's ever seen before, because it just really has that vibe. And I think, you know, it is just kind of a straightforward story. You're just going to have Nick Cage letting loose, just chopping people's heads off, using chainsaws to kill people, to avenge, you know, his love, Mandy, to get Mandy. But there are some kind of bigger themes that you can find in, at least for me. I felt there was some themes in there in terms of the villain being kind of a god-like figure, or saying that he is to people, and sort of taking away, you know, Nick Cage's love, and him having to kind of just take all that down, take all that religious kind of stuff down and go against it, whether it's the demon devil bikers or it's the, you know, crazy religious guy who thinks he's God. It's kind of like an anti-religion movie, or at least that's what I took it as. But it may not be. That's just what I saw it as, and I think that's a great thing. I love Panos for this shit. This is great. If you haven't seen Beyond the Black Rainbow, then I would say check that out so you can kind of know his style. It's kind of slow. It takes a lot to build up. There's going to be a lot of grainy footage. You're going to look at a lot of stuff and be like, why would he put that shot in there? But if you watch the film as a whole, as a complete piece of art, you'll see that every single thing that he did in there was in service to his story and to his vision. And that's why Mandy is one of the best films of the year and one of my favorite of the year. You crazy, Panos. Let's talk about King Cage. Now, he's kind of in and out of these crazy films, right? He does these sort of straight to DVD, kind of wild concept, weird cop movies that he's not really always good in. And the reason for that, I think, is because he doesn't have the right director to be behind him and to kind of hone in that craziness. We have like Adaptation, you have Leaving Las Vegas, and then you have stuff like Face Off and even The Rock, where he's kind of, he's pretty insane, but he's still pretty well balanced enough and kept back that you can enjoy those films. Well, here in Mandy, I feel like this role was made perfectly for Nicolas Cage. He was born to play this role because, as I said at the beginning of the film, it is just kind of this kind of slow, just somber love story. And Nick Cage is fucking fantastic in that. He's got this kind of melancholy, but just this real happiness to him when he's around Mandy. But you feel like this kind of, still this sort of sadness that he kind of wants a better life for his character and for Mandy. And that's not even something he ever has to say in the film. It's just these sort of looks and just the way he is in this film. It kind of gives off the vibe of his character from Leaving Las Vegas. This kind of way, this sort of, the way he's able to play these sort of dramatic, just really emotional scenes is, it's Oscar-worthy Cage. But then, once it goes into full Rage Cage mode, and he needs to just start fucking killing people with giant axe blades and chainsaws, then it becomes the Cage that you would see in those kind of crazy straight-to-DVD films. He loses it. I mean, he's wide-eyed. He's just fucking mumbling things. He's saying lines like if he's like the Joker sometimes. I mean, it's insane. But it works because not only does in the film he takes drugs and he's just going through different things, but because Nicolas Cage set up the character to let you know that losing his love in the way that he does is going to cause him to go insane. There's this really amazing scene of him breaking down in a restroom where he drinks a bottle of liquor and he basically goes through all these stages of like grief and anger and depression and just you just see it in his eyes that he's going to get vengeance. And it's one of my favorite Nicolas Cage performances. It's not going to get him any kind of awards consideration because this movie's way too fucking bonkers and he's too fucking bonkers in it. But I really think that if this movie was probably a little more straightforward and it was this particular Cage performance, he would be considered for an Oscar because it's great. Nicolas Cage, I love you. We need you in more shit like this. We need more directors honing in your beautiful craft. You're insane, baby, but we love you here at Room 666. All hail the Cage. In conclusion, Mandy is one of the best fucking movies of the year. It is one of my favorite films of the year, and I would love to recommend it to every single one of you. I tell you to go rush out and see it now, but it's kind of hard to because it is a fucking strange movie, and it is slow-paced. It's got a lot of weird shit. It's dark. It's just metal as fuck. Nicolas Cage raging out in the best possible way. So if you enjoy watching that kind of stuff, if you like just watching Nicolas Cage do his thing, if you watch all those kind of shitty movies that he does, this is the one I would say to definitely see. But if you saw the trailer and you're just like, man, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I could really be into it. It's even fucking weirder than that. So, I don't know, maybe kind of wait. It's going to be on video on demand. You'll be able to rent it. So, maybe check it out if you're down. But if it's something that you think you really should see, go see it in a theater if you can. I love this fucking movie. But, as I said, it's hard really to recommend it to a lot of people because it's really not a mainstream type film. And it's great. It's beautiful. It's Nick Cage.